Hi guys, I'm Shmi and today I'm at Aston Martin for episode 8 in the road to my Vantage GT8. So the car is built. We have seen it all the way through the paint shop, down the production line, the engine marriage, the final trim, and then starting it up for the very first time. This story is unbelievably awesome, and a huge thanks to Aston Martin for allowing me to share it with you. And today is going to be one of the sort of final stages at the factory. This is the final inspection, and for this video I'm going to be joined by the CEO of Aston Martin himself, Dr. Andy Palmer, for the final inspection of the GT8. So we're going to take a look around it. It's hopefully going to get its wings badge on the bonnet, a carbon one too, which is quite nice. So I'm quite excited because firstly we're going to go back in and see my new car, the new Shmi-mobile, again in the factory, and then it's going to be time to go over it with the inspection. So good times ahead. Let's head inside and take a look. As always, there are some very nice cars around here. So you might have noticed right behind me there, the Lagonda Taraf, and then the V12 Vantage S manual in satin ultramarine as well. That's the car that Andy is driving around in himself. You've got DB11s, Rapide S's, and then this car here is quite special. This is one of the last of 9, so it's one of the final DB9 Volantes created by Q. So it's got a mother of pearl badge on the front, as well as some sort of custom features on the inside too, which is, well, I mean, this car has been so iconic, the DB9. Then you've got the bright blue Vanquish over there on the water. But let's head inside. And in we go. I always love coming into the atrium here with the cutaway DB11, the Vulcan at the right, the factory straight through. Here we go then, the car in the final inspection bay where we're going to take a full look at it now and see Andy coming in to show us what is involved in making sure the car is ready and prepared for the road. Under the lighting in here, the Cobalt Blue is looking stunning. It is such a nice color and I'm so happy with my choice. And that is contrasted by the bright orange accents around the lower parts on the carbon fiber and then the Q parts as well. So Q by Aston Martin, a special department for parts like that on the front grille, the door mirror and the end plates on the wing as well. So I've shown you round the car and the specification, but just a quick sort of whiz around it. We've got the naturally aspirated 4.7 litre V8. From an options point of view, I've done the satin black 7-spoke wheels, orange brake calipers to go with the other sort of orange accents around the car. Come to the rear, you've got this awesome wing. I love the design of it, the shape, the design, the way it sits on the back. It's really cool. And then down below are the exhaust tips. The titanium exhaust system that makes a thunderous sound. It is basically one of the best sounding cars, probably the best sounding car ever to be made. I notice it's wearing the GT8 badge now. It didn't have that the last time I was here. But also, just look at the carbon fiber. The finish is beautiful. The way it lines up, spectacular. This thing is so exciting. And there are only 150 of them that are ever going to exist as well. Well, 153 if you include the prototypes. Swan doors, just lift those up quickly. Have a look at the interior, the Alcantara, the carbon fiber, more orange highlights just to continue through, the stitching. I love this, the Californian poppy it's called on the door pulls. And then, yeah, 6-speed gear stick and the clutch pedal. I've seen a few people asking me actually about the handbrake, the fly-off handbrake, and the way that works. So when it is down, it is actually still on. You have to pull it up and then take it off. And then I've got the bucket seats, which are of course protected here. Oh boy, this is going to be so much fun when it's out on the road and ready to drive. I'm a bit of a carbon and Alcantara obsessive, as you probably know. So what we're going to see now is a little bit more about how and why Aston Martin go to all these sort of extremes really to make sure the car is absolutely fit for purpose and basically completed as perfectly as possible. So we'll hold fire. Hopefully Andy will join in a second. I find myself in the very fortunate position to be joined by Dr. Palmer now for the final inspection of the GT8, which is something you've been doing for the DB11s.
Yes, I'm up to about 650 DB11s.
Okay, so you've done the final inspections on 650 cars?
So far, so I'm doing the first 1,000 as part of the launch edition. And
okay.
You know, clearly there's a reason to do that, which is to make sure that the cars that go to customers are all good.
Yes, of course.
But of course, generally speaking, by the time they reach me, they should be good.
Yes.
So there's enough people here that are passionate about making quality right. But it also does send a very clear message that the CEO cares more about quality than about anything else, and the ethos that if you make a beautiful car with high quality, your business results naturally follow suit.
And I mean, one of the things that's so exciting for me filming this sort of process around the factory is seeing every stage how sort of into the vehicles people are, but how careful they are with everything and how everything is done to the absolute top sort of standard.
Well, hopefully, yes. Hopefully that's obvious as you walk around the factory. We move the line relatively slowly. Everybody's checking their own work and then having their work checked, and as much as possible we try to fix any issues back on the line. So, but you have a kind of backstop process, which is the final inspection.
Okay, so when you do this, how do you do it? What's involved? As we sort of look over the car.
It takes about 20 minutes, let's say. 30 minutes when I do a test drive as well. And basically what I do is start with a scan of the exterior, and then obviously move on to the interior. Tools of trade, so basically two key tools beyond the usual protection, but basically this daisy wheel is measuring panel gaps. And this is key because what we want to have is consistency of gaps, so door gaps should be consistent on both sides and that kind of thing, and consistency side to side. And then this one is doing something known as underflush and overflush. Very important that your panels are as close to meeting each other as possible, but obviously that's not normally possible. So what you normally do is try to offset a little bit the panel. So, for example, this panel here should always be slightly higher than this panel here. Why not the other way around? Because the other way around would cause wind noise.
Yes, okay.
And so you're obviously looking for flow of air across that panel, not creating any turbulence as it goes to the next one. And likewise here, this panel should be higher than this panel. And you only, to be frank, your hands are the best tools possible.
You can feel.
So you can feel it. And it's only when you feel an excessive step that I would start using this.
Okay.
So first panel is here, and you can feel basically everything is overflush, which is perfect. Likewise here, it's overflush. I do the back of my hands because the gloves are rubberized on the front, so I have a lot of work outside, but on the back they're perfect. And I'm also checking here to make sure that basically when the roof has been fitted it hasn't been distorted in any way, and you've got even gaps between what we call the camp rail and the rooftop. So obviously this is very good actually. If we move to the front, what I'm going to do is take a couple of measurements around the hood bonnet.
Yes.
I spent a lot of time in the American industry, as you can tell. Here basically we're going to use a gap finder. So you see, basically that slip gauge goes in there, 3.5 mil, won't go into the 4 mil. And just a bit of a push will just take 4 mil. So side to side, we're probably within about 0.3 millimeters, which is pretty good. Just going to visually check that the front end stacks up correctly. Just looking for gaps around the grille and making sure that we've got a consistent overflush condition as they meet. I'm just checking now around headlamps.
It's a bit of sort of paintwork inspection.
Just a bit of residual of polish actually. Okay, we'll do the same the other side. Overflush.
So around to the back.
So now we're looking for making sure that what's called the deck lid is consistent gaps, and so runs right the way around. We'll measure this in a second.
This is where that awkward wing gets in the way.
Yes, indeed.
Downside.
We also have your picnic off the back of this beautiful weave on this.
It is the way it lines up. It's spot on.
Yes, you can see it's we've tried particularly hard. And I also always love to do this, and you can't feel the
yes, it's under
the paint that's under the surface.
It's got some protection film on the top as well, though.
Yes, this is just a tape that we put on to stop stone chipping. It's bang on. That's a
Perfect.
nice tight gap there that you got. This is a particularly nice example actually. And again, let's just do a quick visual. Now we do have one problem with your car actually.
Okay.
Whether you picked it up or not when you had a quick look around, but you've got a scuff here.
I had seen that little mark.
And we're going to make sure that that's fixed before the car leaves the
Yes, of course.
Okay, I start with offside doors. Okay, so looking for the nice pop as it opens, which is basically means that the seals are in compression. So as it comes off the latch, it should pop a little bit. That obviously pops quite nicely. We're just going to look at seals to make sure that there's no seals tucked in between the trim and the seal surfaces itself. And follow that around. Make sure that it's all good. Door shut speed. So one of the ways of checking whether the seal compression is correctly, that this is set in the right place, that the piston is correct, is just how slowly you can.
Okay.
Yeah, so what you don't want to have to do every time is
Slam
really
it.
slam it. It also checks, by design, that the drafters, which is how the air escapes when you do that, that they're right size. So obviously you want to do it as you have to do it as slow as possible, and get a nice clonk.
Yes.
That is pretty good.
I have always loved the doors on these cars. The swan shape,
Yes.
the way they feel, the way they open slightly upwards.
Yes, as you know, they come up basically to clear curbs,
Yes.
which is quite thoughtful. Get a nice pop. Really nice thump closure there. Just check the seals again. Okay, that's the outside done.
Okay.
Jump inside.
I'll come around to the other side and. So on the
So a lot
inside.
of things I do semi-automatic, but obviously as I get in I'm adjusting the seat, and that's making sure that the seat's working. Likewise on this side. I'm just making sure there's no excessive noises or anything like that. Quick check of any damage to any of the leather, and in your case the Alcantara. Actually, this is beautiful inside. I love the orange stitching.
Continuation of the exterior to the inside. One of my favourite touches that you have is the option for the door pulls.
Yes, indeed.
Have that colour on it as well.
That's a lovely colour. You could sell this afterwards in Holland, couldn't you? So we're just going to check a few of the switches, make sure there's nothing.
So a quick sort of once over of every button, so to speak.
Yeah. I drive the V12 Vantage version, so very familiar with the gearbox. But what we'll also do is just make sure that we've got reasonable and reasonably light clutch,
Yeah.
given the power that the car has. I'm just going to do registers. I've got one other small issue on the car, which is that has a little bit of a squeak to it.
Okay.
I'm going to ask them to make that go away for
But
me.
that's an interesting one, because that's the kind of thing a customer might notice,
Yes.
but not necessarily be tried before. And I guess that's exactly the purpose of doing
That's
this.
exactly the point. And all it is basically it's probably been slightly over torqued on that bolt.
Yeah.
Relatively easy to fix, but you know,
Something that can easily be overseen.
you certainly won't hear that when the engine starts.
No, you won't.
Nevertheless, it needs to be right. And
Start time.
start time. You've started it already.
I've heard it, so I will enjoy
Be
listening.
the first guy to start it. top coats. Not necessarily my taste in music. I think with the exception of those 2 points, which is a slight squeak on the sun visor and a slight scuff on that seal, you otherwise have a perfect car, and by the time it reaches you, it will be a perfect car.
Wonderful, thank you.
All right. So we're going to do the badges. Now, obviously, I wouldn't normally do this because we have basically 2 small issues that need to be fixed, but for the symbolism and the fact that you're here, and you have to trust me that the car is going to get those 2 issues solved. We'll otherwise put the badge on. I'll start with putting the final inspection. I hope you don't mind
no, that is amazing. Thank you.
My badge on it.
A privilege. Thank you very much.
So let's start with that. I'm a bit obsessive when it comes to making sure the
Okay, take as long as you need.
badge is in the right place. So. You now have actually the only GT8 that has got this badge on it.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. It's amazing.
I can assure you there are better inspectors than me, but anyway, they did it and they didn't get acknowledged for it. Should we do the front? Should we do the front badge as well?
That would be lovely. So the carbon, sort of machined carbon wings.
Yes.
It's an option for the GT8.
Carbon badge.
Ready to go on.
Ready to go on. Let's make sure we get it right, shall we? And I do want it to be absolutely right for you.
That feels like quite a special moment.
And I reckon that's...
when the car gets its badge.
It's not an Aston until it gets those wings. That, my friend, is now an Aston Martin.
Thank you very much.
All right. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure
Yes.
you will.
I can't imagine a car like this, it would be possible to do anything else.
No.
But thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
My great pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Just quickly, I've got one thing to show you in the boot that I thought would be funny. Quite fun. So, let me get this out. For my car, I always like to have my number plates.
Oh, very nice.
And I always
too.
like to find a very nice quote to have on the plates.
I like the quote.
I thought you might.
I'm surprised I was quite so elegant.
Well, it's going to look very nice on the car.
That looks really good. That looks really good. I'm sure it most definitely will.
Perfect. There we have it, another episode in the road to GT8, and it is just about ready. It's within reaching distance of being registered and able to go for its first drive. I've got to say a big thanks to everyone here for the whole process so far and being able to share all of this with you, and especially Andy for coming down today and doing the final inspection on my car. This is so unbelievably awesome, and I really hope you're enjoying the behind the scenes look. But that is it for today. Make sure you stay tuned to see this car being driven on the road in the not too distant future. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.